Okay, I think we are live. So welcome everyone to show up to the second XAFer community stand-up. If it's the first time with us, we just met together the second Thursday of every month to talk about XAF, XPO, Blazor, community contributions, our personal projects. There is no dress code, no agenda. We just talk about what we love and what we share, and what we want to share, and that's it. A beer is encouraged, a coffee is encouraged. Just relax yourself and let's
Yeah,
talk
cheers.
about stuff. Cheers. So with me there is Dev Express MVP Jose Ojeda and Dev Express MVP Manuel. I will give them now a little bit so they can present themselves and then we can move on. Manuel?
Manuel, you start.
As always, nothing much to say. I'm Dev Express MVP for around 4 or 5 years right now. .NET developer for 10 years. Um, Blogger stuff. Nothing much to say.
Yeah, you do Black Magic also because I read your blog before,
Yeah,
and
sometimes.
and the article P for testing stuff was like really
Yeah,
deep.
it did get a little bit lazy there, so I should ramp that up at some point. But there is some interesting parts coming. So
Good. Okay, now it's my turn. So my name is Jose Ojeda. I'm the newest MVP for Developer Express. I've been in .NET since day one and also in SAP since day one. And basically, coding is my hobby and my work. So I'm doing that all the time. And well, I think it's time to start, Javier.
Yeah, so before we move forward, the first thing that I want to do is if you are not in any of the social media for SAF, please, we have a LinkedIn group, join there. Let me, please, let me put it. We have a LinkedIn group here, join there. There are a lot of posts that are it's getting actually more updated nowadays. We have a Facebook group that is getting to almost 400 members. So thank you everybody for joining in. We have a Gitter that Manuel put together that please feel free to ask any question there. So we have almost every social
Every
media.
platform. Yes.
Yeah,
the thing with the Gitter chat is I think that's the quickest way to get really quick answers on technical questions sometimes, I guess. The Facebook group I think is really cool to share links and get in touch with people. I'm not so into LinkedIn, but I think the Gitter chat is really, it is a chat, so you can ask
Yeah,
a
so
question.
it is real time. I mean, you write, someone will answer. It's not like
Yes,
you write and you have to wait like 3 days for someone
yes,
to
yeah.
answer.
no, and Dev Express support is great, but sometimes they take a little bit because they are researching the issue, and sometimes you want to talk with someone that you like, a MVP or someone that you already know. You want to put your questions there, somebody will answer.
Yeah,
So
the
my
the neat thing about the Gitter chat wanted to say is like there was this question that you have on screen right now where we were talking about the decisions Defex was made with uh, supporting that standard, and there was like, that's real a thing. So the thing how they solved that's just how we discuss as developers. So that's the neat thing about Gitter. It's totally there's the contact barrier is really low there. So
yeah, and what I like about those things is like a lot of time those questions I have had it myself before, or I haven't think about that. So it's a great thing. See what people are asking, what people are pain problems, everything. So I'm showing everything because we are almost in every platform. We are LinkedIn, Facebook. Please follow Dev Express on Twitter, follow Manuel on Twitter, follow Jose on Twitter. They have also amazing blogs, both of them with great information. Uh, Sign up for, subscribe to Suffer Weeklies. Then you will get an email every week with everything that happened in the week that is in the world of SAF, XPO, Blazor. So please join the community. There is a big force of being together, and solving problems. Like solo developer struggle a lot, and also I love to see people getting the same issues that I have and solving it together. So today's we want to focus on Blazor and everything.
And we will focus on Blazor.
Yeah, yeah. You see, our
This
Blazor
time
is
for real.
coming. Blazor is coming. So funny story.
Nothing here.
Yeah, you have it. You have it as well.
It's your fault, brother. You have one.
The last time I did it, yeah.
You did, you did. So actually, last time when we went to the Blazor Roadshop with Carl Franklin, they were really excited about this teacher. They were saying,
Cool.
it's really good. So to move forward with Blazor, I thought that it was a nice way to present SAF Blazor, talking about Blazor by itself. What is Blazor? What is the advantage of using Blazor? Why everybody's talking about Blazor right now? Especially .NET developer, especially C# developer. So, any of you, Jose or Manuel, if you wanna start giving a quick introduction about that, please feel free.
Well, I guess I will start, and I think that Manuel can expand on what I say. I mean, basically, there are a few reasons why Blazor is interesting, at least for me in this sense, is that first, like the scalability, how you do it. You can, I mean, it can be done vertically, which is something that is really great, especially right now that you have Azure and a lot of virtual machine providers that you can just scale up, like more memory, more CPU. Because before that, you need to, I don't know what was the name of that. I think it was IIS Forest or something like that, that you need to do like a farm of IIS to scale horizontally, and then you have to have like a load balancer and so on. I mean, I think that the scenario is still valid in general, but what I like to do is like one instance, you put a lot of memory, a lot of CPU, and then you just hope for the best. And, I mean, it's still experimental somehow. I mean, it's really a new technology, but what
Jose, should we do? Does everybody know what's the architecture and the big picture about Blazor?
No. If you want to talk about the big picture, it will be nice.
Because I think we jumped too deep into the rabbit hole because with scalability, starting with scalability isn't it is exciting from this perspective, but what's the neat thing about Blazor? What does it make so unique, and especially for .NET developers, in your perspective?
Well, in my perspective, is that it's a C# first approach. I will say that because basically, I think that when you, as a programmer, the time when I lose more productivity is when I change language or tools. So in that sense, it will be the same tool, the same language, and also Visual Studio, because in general, for a time I used to do projects in PHP, and I was using DevSense. Actually, they give me some licenses for free because I did some reviews for them. And at that moment, I managed to learn that what I really like about .NET is not only .NET, it's Visual Studio in general. Because if you write PHP in Visual Studio, you feel like you're writing C# in general, because if you use their tool, I mean the one from DevSense, you have autocomplete, IntelliSense, and so on, and it just looks like C# in general. So for me,
like refactoring support and
yes,
IntelliSense and type safety, and
for me the first big point is I don't have to change tools. I don't have to have a different tool set, and also everything is in the same language because you don't use JavaScript, which I think that hate is a strong word, but I do hate it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not productive at all. I mean, some people love it. I don't like the design pattern. I don't like that everything is mutable somehow. And there are like hundreds of thousands of people inventing the same all over again and say like, my approach is the best, my approach is the best, my approach is the best. So
the thing is, you didn't start developing in JavaScript land as I did. I didn't start with it. I worked a year and a half working on Electron app. It wasn't, but it is like the real pain point, I guess, in all that JavaScript land, and that's really it is an opinion, is when you start to have bundle up stuff. So you have this all the bundlers, minimizers, and then you
npm
need
errors and too many packets.
NPM isn't that bad on some kind of occasionals. I think NPM is a great ecosystem, and there is this really a great resource of source code out there that you can just use. The thing is, if I want to be productive and get a thing up and running uh, and deploy it and compile it and then publish it onto Azure, or do, for example, with client-side Blazor, do a file deploy and it runs from everywhere. Nothing can beat .NET on this level of coherent tooling that works together, and it just works. In JavaScript land, the bundler is striking, and then you have to reconfigure this, and then you have to reconfigure that, and then you have one package that blows up.
It's never as they show. I mean, never, actually. So I think that, I mean, that the tooling is one of the reasons for me. The other reasons will be that, in general, I know that the easiest way to deploy something is on web, but I never been a friend of like web applications in general because they require JavaScript, and I'm not a friend of that somehow mix. And in this sense, it's like, okay, now I feel like I will do something like, oh, I will do my own control when I miss something, I will do my own changes. And before I was relying at hoping that there is a control that do that for .NET, and that I don't have to do JavaScript stuff in between. I always try to find a way, get away out of JavaScript in general. So now it's the opposite.
But you can't avoid it completely.
I mean, you cannot avoid it completely, but you will avoid a big part of it. I mean,
like 95%. Yeah.
For me, it's enough. For me, it's enough. Okay,
I will, if I can add a few things there. I think that the great thing also is like, if you are a .NET job, you are using C# for your server, for your browser, for everything. So the learning curve is decreased. Every time that a new Angular framework, the new things that are, every time you have a new developer, you have to train them, you have to show them. So if you are a .NET developer, this is like gold. You have your everything, they're good to go. And I have to say that the results are really promising. Bare Blazor app with an equivalent MVC or web forms consumes less resource, consumes less memory. So everything seems like this is the holy grail.
Exactly.
And the opportunity that we are going to have to use that in SAF that we love, and actually I'm going to come back to SAF in a little bit, but it's great. Believe me, I when SAF started doing the SAF mobile, I wasn't too much of a fan. When they did React, I think this is a little better, but actually Blazor is what I think that is the best choice. So I fully support they stopping React and going this way. This is going to be a solution that we have been waiting for a long time.
Actually, Javier, I don't know if you remember this. There was an article, I think that Dennis wrote it, where he said that the manpower that they need to recreate everything on React was like really a lot. And in a few days, they migrate enough to run SAF in Blazor, like in 2 days or something like that. I remember it was like that. He puts the time. He said like, it took so long to move stuff to React, and we had to do a lot of black magic, like stuff that sometimes you don't want to do that are really complex. But then he said like, then we start moving it to Blazor, and it was like somehow really easy. So in that sense, actually, what I think that is good about this is that soon you will have all the modules working, and then you can move to Blazor instead of web forms in general. I mean, it's always a risk because it's a new technology, but I think it will go like really fast. Like people will start acting like this, like slow, and then up. And then, web forms will become like a legacy application. I mean, I think I give for that like 2 years somehow, but who knows? I mean, it's still like, oh no. Sometimes you have like really these promising technologies, and you feel like, oh, I will do that in every that technology, and then they disappear. So
So a
I'm
few
hoping
things.
that it's not like that, but I have high hope.
So Jose, now that I was listening, a few things that I wanted to say. So I will recommend everybody to hear this Azure DevOps podcast, especially if this episode about Michael Washington on the state of Blazor. He actually go in deeps about Blazor performance. He actually have a lot of Blazor apps and production. He's playing server side. He's played WebAssembly. So one of the things that he says like he actually does tutorials. He does training material. He can get it someone that is a .NET developer that already have the base, already know in 3 hours and have them run, having producing production quality code in 3 hours. Blazor is components based, so you can use reusable components. You can use so the productivity start increases like in a power of I don't know 100.
And also like I mean, you have the HTML in between, right? Which is the markup language. So in general, that's ultra mature. It works well. It's well known. You have hundreds of thousands of documents of information in the internet. In that sense, I mean, I think it's the way to go in general. Actually, I'm hoping for to move some of our customers to be a single code base that they will use just Blazor instead of Windows Forms, and especially because at the moment, uh, well, you know this Javier more than Manuel. We have not talked this with Manuel, but in general, I'm moving to Linux completely. I start my computer with Linux, and I'm doing everything with emulation. So it will be nice to say that, hey, if you're a Linux office and you run everything on Linux, because in El Salvador there are cases like that where each computer have Linux, then you can go in. I mean, and you can run it locally, and you can run it as in web. So in general, I think that is great because it will give the .NET programmers another opportunity that they didn't have before. So you have a whole new market in general. So as a programmer, I mean, not only that it's just one language, but the opportunity for making new businesses is huge. So in that sense, it's good to jump into the boat.
So for the everyone that is connected, I just want to give them a couple links. This awesome Blazor has a lot of awesome links and information about Blazor. They have workshop about how to build a whole e-commerce store. They have a lot of extensions, plugins. So feel free to go crazy here.
Almost everything I learned so far about Blazor comes from almost this repository. It's like, what is the best practice, or what options do you have? For example, there was like Blazor open identity stuff and stuff like this, and they're really small and approachable, and I really like them as a learning material.
It is really good, and if you see, there is everything like authentication,
It's
cloud,
a little bit cluttered,
CMS,
but it's
machine learning, logging.
if you have some ideas about how to approach some stuff in that way, it's awesome. Like that repository helped me a lot getting into the material.
It is really good. And we were talking about the Blazor replacing almost everything. Right here we have it with Electron. We can do PWA. We can do installing in the desktop. And WebAssembly, I'm pretty sure that it's gonna come up now on Build, like a few days ago. So that's an announcement that is coming because they promised Blazor WebAssembly in May. So we are half a month.
It will be that will be a reality for a build conference, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be completely online, completely virtual, like everything now. So we have a few conferences that we were going as a speaker in Dominican. It was canceled. There was another Caribbean Developers Conference in Punta Cana in October, already moved to
To November or
2021.
something like
No,
that.
to 2021, already moved. So, but I think that it's not almost a bad thing because now, because everything is going virtual, everybody have access to. You don't have to fly, you don't have to get there. So it's a nice way to to
And,
spread the
and
knowledge, spread the
and
knowledge.
and actually, you learn in the situations like this that you really don't need to leave your home. I mean, we have all the tooling to just stay at home if you want. I mean, if you go outside, it's because you actually want to go outside. Outside traffic, and I hate traffic. I mean, I don't know how it's in Austria, but I used to live in El Salvador, and when I was there, sometimes to go 16 kilometers was 3 hours. So you can imagine because the traffic is so bad. So now we have all the tooling to do it online. So way better.
So
Uh,
the other thing that I want to say about Blazor is that all components from DevExpress right now, they are free. You don't need to
For now.
pay. Yeah, for now, for sure. That's for sure. They will,
That's cool.
but
That's cool.
right now you have that agreed scheduler, everything for free, and they are actually really nice control. So feel free to play with them as much as you want. And I think that we can jump to SAF Blazor. And before we jump to SAF Blazor, because I want to be as inclusive as possible with every beginner and something, and I actually want to encourage more people to use SAF. I want to encourage more people to use the things that we like. I would like Jose and Manuel to give us why SAF? Why are we so passionate about SAF? Why do we love XPO? Why are we doing this?
Manuel, your turn. You start. And
The the
I,
the 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 neat thing the thing why I love XAF and XPO in the first place is like XPO is really one of the best ORM mappers that are out there. It's blazing fast. It has like 20 or something like this, or at least 15 database providers.
it's
Uh,
14 plus all the other ones that are not official, which are basically servers.
with unofficial, I've written database drivers for XPO myself, and it was not a huge deal. Of course, it's work, but I managed to come up with projects that are like 10 years old and they are fresh as today. So the thing is, XPO is evolving all the time and XF as well. And the neat thing about XPO and in combination with XCF is like they are like a super dream team because they were developed at the more or less same time frame. Or XPO is older than XCF, but it's like you can't you couldn't write faster line of business applications or like CRUD type like applications with any tool out there. I've used hundreds of different tools, like with pure code generation, reading in the database schema, but nothing is so flexible and forward thinking and modular than XAF is. There's nothing on the market like this.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
actually, yeah,
and
go
the,
ahead. I'm sorry.
and then the thing is you can focus really on the business needs and on all the nitty gritty details that all the business rules come with, and don't have to spend hours and hours on the technical ramping up and doing all the plumbing, getting stuff working, and doing database updates, writing views, and dealing with user customizations, all that kind of stuff. Nothing on the market is like that flexible and complete in that kind of sense, and it's always impressing because I ported over my personal source base to XAF, my XAF source base over to Blazor. Of course, my solution growed over the time, and it's not that easy to just file new project, but basically it was file new project, uh, copy a bunch of code over into the start, delete the other stuff, and I was running on Blazor. There was one issue I had, and I wrote in the support center, and that's the way because I am doing really crazy stuff with things and with XAF in especially, and I did something that wasn't 100% compatible with the way the XAF team was dealing with it. and I had a short conversation with Dennis on the support center, and I guess 20 minutes later, I got my application running on the browser using Blazor. Of course,
Nice.
not everything was working. There is a lot of things to do, like editors and authentication that's a little bit too different because it's all a new model. But basically, my app is really working. That's mind blown.
I wanna say to both that these answers about what makes apps so great, I might edit the video this part only. I wanna get more developers excited about stuff like we are. So, Jose, please
Now my turn.
continue.
Okay. Well, for me it was like somehow like well, we used to be where I was working. We used to be developer express customers, and at that time we were using Visual Basic 6. So can you imagine how long ago it was?
Yeah.
And then we got the .NET subscription, and you get the Visual Basic 6 controls for free. So at one time we were basically testing XPO. We thought that it was a good idea, especially because at that moment I was working in a software shop here actually it was in California, but I was working from El Salvador. And basically each of our customers, they have a different database engine. And they had at that moment IBM DB2, Postgres SQL Server, and some of them had Oracle at that time. So we always have to, and it was like really in the early time of .NET, where adult.NET didn't have all the interfaces. So every time you have to create a concrete data adapter and so on, so on, so on. So your code was somehow attached to one vendor of the database. Unless you create your own factory pattern and so on, so on, so on, that is another plumbing code that you have to do. So when and also we have customers in Firebase and Interbase. So it's like, it was impossible to maintain. Like, oh, this customer wants this report, but it's using the data adapter for Oracle native, and it's not an interface because that came in .NET 2, I think. So we said, like, let's give it a try to XPO, and actually it went really well. As funny as it is, one of the first things that I did in XPO was to create a provider for Pervasive 8, which is not supported, because they start the support for Pervasive 9, and all of our customers were Pervasive 8. So it's like, okay, Jose, you have a new task. Try to connect these to, and somehow it was kind of easy. And after that, I've done a lot of providers for XPO. And also, well, you know that, Javier, we've been developing non-stop providers lately. And well, it was like that. It was single code based, different databases, which at that moment, it was something like really like breaking ground somehow. And then when SAS came, I'm not good with the UI. I cannot draw a straight line in a paper. I'm not good drawing at all. But I think I'm good doing code. I hope that I'm good doing code. So I thought, well, if I do this, I don't have to drag and drop controls to the user interface, which is something that I don't like at all. Because sometimes I remember my boss told me.
I need to pick out my color picker. I guess I wrote in Blazor. But talk ahead.
Okay. So basically, I remember one time that my boss, I was like 20-something years old, and he told me like, Jose, your screens really suck. I don't know what you're thinking. So then I started using SAS, and everyone was thinking like, this is great. How you improve so, I mean, how can you do it so fast? It looks so good. And you should see the icons that I used to use in the user interface. So after that, it's like, okay, forget about everything. I will use SAS for everything. Even if it's an application that only has one window, I will use it. So then I start to try to, actually, there is one guy from Xamarin, which is Charles Pertz. I don't know what's his last name, Pertzol or something like that. the one who do the talks about in graphics and the other UI drawing components for Xamarin. And he said something like, it's really interesting. When you just have one tool, you always wonder, how can I do whatever I want just using this tool without moving to any other platform or tool? So I started thinking about stuff in that sense, like in the absence of all other tools, thinking that SAF is the only thing that I have on hand. How will I do it? So that was my goal somehow. It's like, how will I do it if I only have XPO and SAF? And then I found all the ways possible. And so like, forget that I will go to any other platform. I will stay in SAF forever.
The neat thing, I guess you talked about is like, what would be the XAF way to do it? That's something. If you work a long time with XAF, you have to do. You're thinking in a little bit different mindset because it's more model driven, but it also helps to keep your UI stuff out of the way. And I think that's especially for younger developers or not so experienced developers in the first run a really great experience, so they don't mix up layers and mixing UI stuff with domain and so it helps really.
Yes, actually that's another point, Manuel, that in general I think that DevExpress, the support center, was somehow like a university for me. Of course, I went to university, but they always try to implement the best pattern possible.
Let me add something there. I remember when I was first starting with SAF, I put a ticket and they sent me a complete solution with my answer. It's not like you should do it like this. It was like, this is a sample app that is doing everything that you need. That was a
so
mind
the
changing
support
to me.
in
I
general
say,
is great.
this is a great support. So this is something that is, in my opinion, an extension of my company. So that's, I haven't found that anywhere. And the other thing that I will have to say about SAF, when you already have a good understanding of SAF, one developer can do a complete application by itself in a few days. So think about that. People have a lot of developers. So if you are a company that sells software, I don't think that you can find something better than SAF. If you are like, there are other things that we can talk about scalability, about this, about that.
But that's the thing. What is scalability? Is the scalability about developer resource scalability? It's great. It's on scalability on you can start small, iterating fast on smaller stuff. Of course, you have to optimize here and there. Right? There is no. We are all developers. We know there is some kind of optimization we have to make some from point to point. There is no silver bullet, but XAF is like in the sweet spot where you can really go quick and fast and get amazing results with a really small focus team or alone, and getting stuff really out of the window without having to think about all the complexity that's going on. And if it is successful or it needs to scale, it can scale really well with minor adjustments.
Exactly.
That's the reason why I'm so excited about Blazor, because there are just two things you really need to know to be productive with Blazor and C#. It's like you have to know a little bit HTML, you have to know CSS. That's nothing against it. You can use Bootstrap or something like this, of course. That lowers the barrier for not so experienced front-end developers. But if you take something like Blazor and XAF in combination, it's like it's abstracting enough so you can build great UIs with a good user experience without having to tackle every nitty-gritty detail. and on the other hand, it's like it can scale really well from a user perspective as well.
I want to I
And that's
want
the
to
neat
add
thing
there.
about Blazor.
I want to add there that we are really passionate about SAF, our XPO, and everything. But what we're really after is real solution and real world problems. Like right now, we are in a unprecedented time. We are in the COVID-19. A lot of people are dying, and please, everybody that is watching here, please be safe. We need to practice social distance, everything. But think about this: in this time when there are so many people that need a quick solution that help them do something, SAF can do that. So we have been working a contact tracing app, and we need a backend. SAF Blazor already do all the CRUD's operation. It's not a it's not complete yet, but it was enough for what we needed. And it was 20 minutes. We have something that we can show, so we can try to persuade the client to move forward. So you don't have that in a lot of tools. So think about that for a second. It's like impact in real life. And I want to show a post quickly. And this one, I will do a disclaimer. I have no verification that this is true because I have been bite in the past trying to show something, and the people who has done it have not been 100%. But let's say that this is true, and I do believe that it is. Let me put it here. This was a post showing our safe Facebook.
I
So
saw that, yeah.
yeah, if you think about this, they are helping miners who have been contracted tuberculosis and silicose, and they are being compensated with the SAF application. I have not verification that this is true, but it is. This is a real proof that you can do something nice, something that make real impact with SAF.
I think I saw it the web page, and I didn't get the full scale. He was of the website or something like this, but nobody could generate such a comment on with some AI, and if it is, then we are all doomed. But I guess it is. I think it's authentic. The
I do
writing.
believe as well, again.
Yes.
And I
And
apologize, Ken Glindon, if you get offended for me saying this. Believe me, it is not.
sorry, sorry.
I'm really excited about reading this. The thing is like, again, it's a gray area for me to support something that I have not been involved with, that I don't know exactly how was everything. But I have to say, this looks authentic, this seems authentic, and it's a great application for our tools. So again, Ken, congratulations. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Actually,
this is the type of application that I want to see more, that I want to be shared, that I want to see SAF. It makes you do things that have real impact.
If you think about it, it's a little bit like you were talking about the COVID-19 thing, and we featured the last time the from Lama Chance, the
Yeah,
COVID-19
the dashboards.
chart thing, and it's like throwing stuff quickly together. You have an idea. It doesn't have to always impact the whole world, but it's getting an idea going. And
the thing is that there is no other way, Manuel. I think that
yeah.
to be
Hey,
as
Manuel,
productive.
let me stop you both, guys. We were just talking about Yama-chan, and he just joined the chat. So it was like we were calling him.
Oh, nice. So there you go. Okay, guys. So the list of topics, because we have a lot to see today. I think. I mean, we've been preparing for this. So which is the next topic, Javier?
No, the next topic we were talking about Blazor, we were talking about SAF, we were talking about all of this. So the next steps is like, let's show a SAF Blazor project from new project to 3-4 classes and show it.
Who have it on hand? I have it on hand, Manuel. So if you want, I can start, or you can use yours.
I'm going for a 5-minute bathroom break, and then I'll be back.
So,
please.
Then I will do the demonstration, and then we switch.
So
I will share my screen, Javier. I think you
Yeah,
need to
please do
allow
it.
me.
Let me stop share. And while you are doing that, Dave, welcome back. Welcome here. Welcome back. Not welcome to the XAFer stand-up meetup. We are talking about the COBD dashboards. So thank you for showing up. And please, everyone, if you have any question, if there is something that you want us to talk more about it, or if you want to just say something, let me know. I will unmute your mic and we can discuss.
Okay, so basically, I hope everyone is seeing my screen. I don't know if you can see it, but Javier, can you confirm that you can see
I
my
can
screen?
see it.
Good. So actually, what I was doing, I mean, few days before was I was trying to create an application, and I did have problems with my environment at that time. But we did the setup of the last version of Dev Express like 2 or 3 days ago, and it just basically worked well. I didn't have to do anything. So what I did in this case is just a Blazor application. Like there is a separate project template for this, which does not include like all the modules and so on, so on, so on. But it does include like the basic CRUD operations, and this is what you get out of the box. Hold on, let me move this to here. So basically, you get the module, the agnostic module, as you will get in any other platform. All the project types are right now the new project, the SDK project type, which I really love because I didn't like the other version that much. And then you get the Blazor module, which is the same, like Windows module, ASP.NET module. Actually, I always thought that they have a somehow strange naming convention for web because sometimes is ASP in the end, sometimes is web in the end of the name of the module and so on. So I think that they should be just web or ASP, but just one name. So in this case, it's Blazor. Again, this is a project that is SDK project. And also, let's see, let me close this. And well, basically it works as just as any SAF application. You create your persistent classes, you can use any base object that you want and whatever, but basically this is a customer and then you have a list of invoices. So then in the head project, which is the application project, this thing I really like because this is a ASP.NET ASP.NET Core standard application, which I really like the design pattern of ASP.NET. I mean, the builder and so on, the builder pattern that they use. So you have it in here. So this will be really nice in some senses that, for example, we do have a lot of stuff that we have done for XPO and ASP.NET Core. So it will be easy to put in this pipeline. I was just checking the pipeline. I mean, you have the configure services and so on. Everything is just like a regular ASP.NET Core application. So it looks like it will be easy to include anything that you have done for ASP.NET Core, which we have done a lot actually here in our office. So this I like a lot.
Hey, also, can you increase the size of the letter?
Sure. This is what I can do. This I cannot increase. So in general, I mean, in here you see the services that they are using actually. So you can include anything. I mean, I have not tried, but that's the logic. I think that you can use anything that you have used before for ASP.NET Core in general. So also, this should run on Linux. Actually, I've been working a lot on create like a small manual on how to move .NET developers to develop for Linux, like Ubuntu in this case, which is the one that I'm using. So for me, this is just great. I mean, the complaints I had when I was working in El Salvador, for example, is like your application depends on Windows. That's either your web application or your Windows application. They both depend on Windows, and we don't like that because we don't have Windows servers. So in this case, for me, it's a new opportunity to try to reach those customers, the customers that run only Linux servers. And also, then the scalability, which is not related to SAF in general, it's related to the design of web forms. So this will fix all of that. And also, in general, what I like that in this template, actually, uh, everything is free, is SDK. So they're using a modern approach. I also love this. I wish the Xamarin will do this with the head project for iOS and Android. I mean, you have it in the shared project, but not in the head project. So let's run this to see how it goes. And then we will do an application from the start from zero. So you can see that it will be exactly the same flow. And unless you have to write code specific for platform, in this case, Blazor, basically whatever you did before, if you didn't do any black magic, it will just work. And that's another stuff. Actually, I was talking about that yesterday. I was doing a webinar for a group well, the group is all over the world. Some people is in Germany, some people is in the United States. And we were talking about SAF because they will jump to SAF soon. So one other thing that I like about SAF, but I would say XPO in general, is that there are almost no breaking changes, at least in XPO. There are only like 3 in the history of XPO, so it's not that much. Okay, so this is the application, the Blazor application. The stuff that I like in here, it looks modern because it does. I mean, sometimes you used to see these JavaScript-based applications where the UI is really responsive. It's like jumping bubbles and so on, so on, so on. And some people ask me like, why your application doesn't look like that? And it's like, well, it's based on web forms. It doesn't work like that on web forms. Of course, you can do it, but it will require effort. But in here, it's just as by default, you get that look and feel. And you actually feel it. I mean, the application is blazing fast.
And there are a lot of themes that you can change the look and feel. If you want to change that.
I have not go that deep. For me, the main question is it working? Can I move my old code base to Blazor? Because I have a few applications that
but if you want, just go to the corner and just click and change the theme.
Here.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, there is one thing. I mean, well, I don't know if everyone knows, but Javier and I, we work in the same company. We are basically the same company. And the thing is that I'm not a UI-related person. Sometimes for me to find a button in the screen is really hard. Javier will tell me, stay there, look at it. Or everyone will ask me like about UI stuff.
You should go full stack.
Yeah, no, I mean, there is one layer of the stack where I don't want to go because in general, like the UI, I mean, it's really something that is opinionated between persons. So a great UI for one person might not be a good UI for another person. And we had a case in El Salvador a long time ago when I was like 23 years old. And one person told me like, Jose, can you put that little clip from Office in your application because application is kind of boring. So I was thinking like, what does that do with? Yes. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So if someone have the time to do creepy stuff for stuff, do it. We need it. Some people actually is waiting for it. So well, the look and feel is great. Actually, what I don't know if someone have do a research about this. Is like how you create a theme for Blazor. How does the look and feel?
I didn't do it so far, but as my understanding is, it's because it's based on Bootstrap.
Mm-hmm.
It should be compiling a SAS file down with new color schemes, mm-hmm. or at least theme scheme. There's a lot of customization out there how to compile a Bootstrap theme. Mm-hmm. But it's really great they didn't invent another design system or something like this, because there's so much components out there. They just play nice with Bootstrap, and there are a lot of stuff that doesn't work well because of spacing and stuff like this. So basically, as far as my understanding is, it is a Bootstrap theme, but mm-hmm. I think the themes they built in is are really, really cool, especially the high color contrast mm-hmm. themes. And the thing how you customize this is in your startup CS or mm-hmm. in your application JSON, app settings JSON.
Let's actually take a look to that.
So the app settings JSON,
Mhm.
there is all the color schemes uh, that are configured.
Yeah.
So you have the color themes, and they all point to a different.
So you can basically just change a color in here, and you think it will work.
The color thing you see there, it's like the color that is in the UI when you select it.
So it's
And
like the main color.
yes,
So the,
that's a main color that is on the selector switch, and then you have just a bootstrap min a file that is the bootstrap theme. And you see there was is one.
I think this is super nice because
Yeah,
a lot of times
'Cause-
I get a question from my customers like, okay, we like your application, it does the work, it's perfect. I mean, you have like all these modules.
can we brand it?
Yes,
Exactly.
it's like, can you make it look like it's ours now? And then it's like, no, I don't want to do any UI related stuff. Please don't
Yeah.
ask me for that.
Yeah.
But with this,
It's
it looks like more simple.
it is. I think if you have the base theme and you're into customizing Bootstrap a little bit, then I think it's really easy. You're grabbing the SAS files from Bootstrap and doing basically the same thing that
And also for that, Manuel, I think that there is a lot of information in the web in general.
yeah.
So the thing is that also you can include other people with different skills that you were not able to include before, like web designers that are good with CSS. Because this, I mean, it looks like in this case it's not somehow like a black box. You can see that the color is there, that the CSS is there. You just go and give it to someone who actually knows about it, which is not me, of course.
Yeah.
And they will do it.
You're the
And they will do
greatest
it really
designer
well.
on the world.
Huh?
You're the greatest designer on the world. You have to trust in yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I trust regarding code. Regarding code. So let's go back to the application. Where is it? It's here. Oh, okay, great. So.
But that's the thing. It's easy to customize. There's this. It's not that. And as you said, it's not that complicated to draw in a designer, and he knows Bootstrap, and he can customize it. So,
but either out of the box is looking a lot better, and also you can also later put it like in a mobile.
Oh no, let's do that right now. Actually.
So you can see it. I do have really big hope for this, and I can't wait for this. I'm excited.
Oh,
really.
this is nice.
Great, yeah. It isn't optimized yet, as far as I know, to the point they want to drive it, but it's.
But it's decent. It's decent.
But you know, the thing is that I mean, I don't know if other persons in this webinar have used it before, but how it feels, it actually feels really responsive.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like really nice. I don't know. I mean, you have to use it.
It does feel like that. If you have used SAF mobile, every time you go to a list, you take a little bit to load. And if you have a lot of record, a lot of times, right now I have tried, I don't know, 2,000 records, and it loads.
You can see in this screen, it's clearly not perfectly optimized yet, but it's an ongoing thing, and I think that's the thing we always had with XAF mobile. I was never pleased with the approach they took, but that's the first iteration, and it looks awesome on mobile.
Like, and actually, I think we tested before with you, Javier, right? That we connect through the phone. And
we did.
Was like,
no. I was talking about XAF mobile,
the older one,
the other one.
I was never pleased with that one.
The phone gap one.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, this feels like ready for mobile yet. That almost works perfectly on mobile, where the other thing was always lagging around, and this is not supported, and that is not supported, and we now get almost all the functionality on one end, and I think it would be this will work great, I guess.
Uh,
There was always this discrepancy about Win forums and then web forums, and then is mobile. It's like the fifth gear on the wagon, so to say. It was like always a little bit chunky. And this is the first iteration of the Blazor web stuff, and it's like working like magic on the phone. I did.
yeah, and actually I was thinking something that since this is .NET Core 3 and eventually will be Net 5, in general, like I mean, I'm talking like 2 years in the future, but I think there might be a way to compile this and put it just running in Xamarin locally.
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course you could. Of course you could. You could throw up a web component and just download the DLLs. If it supports WebAssembly, of course it will. It will run locally totally fine. There is nothing that prevents you from do that.
So,
From doing that.
so before we move forward, I wanna say thank you to Adam Larimer. He's another Dev Express MVP. He just joined, and he actually, when I went to Canada, he and Dave present me to Putin on Canada. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That we had a great time. So thank you, Adam, for showing up. And regarding Blazor, I want to add, if you check the support center, there are now a lot of tickets that, in my opinion, are really interesting, like Docker with SAF Blazor and things like that. That we right now, because this is in the early stages, we don't know where we're gonna get with that, but it really looks really promising. And Manuel can tell you, I have contacts him to help me with a few CI/CDs with some, and doing SAF Blazor in a Docker container. I think that that's something that at some point I'm going to put my time into because it looks really interesting.
you know, you
Didn't have chance
so
to look at it so far, but it looks promising.
yes. Well, I think that it's time for you to take over, Manuel, because it's time for my break. So
Yeah, it's your break now, right now.
yeah. So go ahead.
Okay.
I will stop sharing, so you can start sharing your screen if you want. One
Yeah.
second. Let's see. Stop.
You have to stop first, I
Yeah,
guess.
I think
Yeah.
that is.
And again, I want to say to everybody, thanks for joining in. And if you have any question, please put it on the chat or let me know. I will unmute your mic so you can talk to us. So if you have a personal project that you want to share, we love to hear about real world SAF applications. So feel free if you want to talk to us to let us know, and we will actually definitely give you the opportunity to do it.
Let me quick if it's compiling right now.
And
I'm not 100% sure.
Manuel, right now I don't want to put you on the spot, but we are still waiting for the SAF video thing. So at some point you're gonna have to deliver that.
Let's check real quick. Xavier, I think the mic is like looping.
Maybe, yeah.
Let's check real quick.
Yeah.
I have no idea if this is working. That's always the thing if I switch from my desktop to my laptop, because I have no camera on my desktop thing. Oh no.
What's that?
That was my demo application, but it's failing.
I think it's something related to your connection. I mean, maybe the schema is not the same. See, this is the foreign key.
It's saying that, yeah. But if I recreate the schema right now, I guess it's like pain in the ass. Can I share my other screen? I'm just thinking right now.
I think you can switch. There is a way to select which schema.
We can do the other track around, but and switch from Blazor to WinForms. But I think because it's all Blazor, let me just quick check the management studio and recreate all the stuff.
I was telling Manuel also that he at some point have to deliver the SAF video chat part that everybody was asking on the
Oh,
Facebook group.
that's something that was it's really on my list because some there
There
is
was a
like
lot of traction on that post.
yeah I did like uh, a video thingy. It's like and there is some stuff going on that. That's a huge thing. But I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show that on the internet. So close that.
So yeah,
Yeah.
this is going to be on YouTube, so you shouldn't
Yeah,
put.
I know. No, but the thing is, the video chat thing isn't that hard, but it's JavaScript, a lot of JavaScript. So let me just real quick check. I have to delete that all, I guess. What was it saying when I was starting it?
You were going to show something about Xenial and Blazor, maybe?
It is my application, my internal application I use for time tracking and um, invoicing and all that stuff. But I never started it on here, and I don't want to show my production data. So, but I have another thing I can probably show. Oh God.
Yeah, I mean that's the stuff
but
with the
but but
with the
but
live
that's
demonstration.
that's demo time. So
Yeah,
let's.
it's always like that. You test it before you show it, and
I'm
when
gonna
you're
be
going to show
honest.
it,
When
it
I
breaks.
I didn't test it on this machine. That's the problem.
I wanna be honest. I
But
like when
I
I'm.
wasn't I wasn't expecting to show something today. So
Yeah, but again, I want to be honest. I like when I'm watching someone that I look up to that they have the same issues that I do. Because
of
we all
course I
do. We
struggle
have
all the
same issue
time.
in the Visual Studio. We have same issue in the database. We have issues everywhere. So that's a great motivation for beginners that say, I'm not the only one. So again, that's
Yeah, that's the thing. I hope that there's something out of that. So basically, I hope that doesn't blow up, and I will just quick debug the thing. Let's let's check if there are errors. There aren't huge errors right now. So should be loading. I'm just making sure. Did I do the update thing here? There's a great thing about programming live. It is definitely not making you nervous at all. Oh, and it's there at least. So let's do a quick refresh. Okay, so basically the thing is, I didn't pull all the modules I have into my
get some
application,
water.
and it is empty.
Mhm.
As you can see, but yeah, I have invoice and the requested page is not found. That's not great.
Mhm.
Let's just quick do a stop and start. Maybe that's a or restart. Blazor server can be that there are issues if the database doesn't exist yet.
Mhm.
But okay, that's something I can live with because probably everything has a database right now. So okay, so that looks a lot better. So of course, it is a small portion of my application, and there's no
Uh-huh.
data yet because I
You
deleted
deleted the database.
the database beforehand. But uh, just the thing is, what I was really uh, um, thrilled about was like I did all the stuff with Xenial and on
Mhm.
and the layout builders and all these extensions I did to
Mhm.
XAF the last couple of 10 years probably. And the thing is like For example, if I take the invoice example, I guess that's the best one to start with.
So one question, Manuel. So that is using Xenial at this moment. I mean, the application that you're
The
running.
base of the application is using Xenial, but it was like
Yeah, you
I
didn't
was.
put everything, but you put some of it in the
It
application.
is only some of it, yes. But the thing is, I was talking. We didn't record that on stream so far. But the
Mhm.
thing was like I was trying to put Blazor support on that on that stuff. And there's like,
Mhm.
okay, I added some modules and stuff like this, but I didn't change that much so far,
Mhm.
and that's only the platform modules, because the other stuff is like just working out of the box. So
Mhm.
I didn't have to change anything about it, and it's empty. It's just an empty module. I didn't
Mhm.
change anything so far on Blazor perspective. And then the only thing I did, it was like file, new project,
Mhm.
a Blazor project, and I copied over
The
uh,
classes and
the
everything.
classes. There are some specifics I have to ensure that are working with MS Build and specific versions of .NET Core, and of course Blazor. If we
Mhm.
is the font large enough?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Uh, for example, I have to can do some build start struggling, but I didn't do anything except for file, new project, copy it over, and reference it. And basically, that's the only thing that's the only module for now I referenced. So
Mhm.
it's my time tracking module. It's the most valuable from my perspective
Mhm.
for mobile usage. So I'm planning to use this on my own. And the only
Actually, I will move my mom's accounting system that I did for her to Blazor. She's always my guinea pig.
yeah, yeah. And the only thing is I wrote a support ticket on my struggles I had
Mhm.
with converting to Blazor some of my stuff, and I just it is public. So oh no, I'm not search. So Zoom is really dragging on my CPU. Uh, let's go back real quick.
Manuel, one day we will make an episode about your setup.
Yeah, we of course we can. Yeah, sure. Uh, and I was a little bit upset because I was thinking I am doing the right thing, because I worked with ASP.NET Core in the past. So the thing is like you have like this service collection
Mhm.
you get passed to it. So the dependency injection container, you're putting stuff up front, and then the whole the framework will uh, grab all the dependencies and build this
Mhm.
dependency tree for you. And the I wrote about dependency injection, I have no idea, I guess 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Did I? I have no idea.
I think that was
Uh,
like in 2013,
It's really. I wrote
2013 or something like that.
really. It's ancient. Let me just. How to use dependency injection in XAF
Yeah, 7 years ago.
2013. So it's like 7 years ago.
which is
And
like 10,000 years in computer science time.
it's like dinosaur age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, the way I work with the AI, and I if I put something in the service collection, I would
You expected to be able to resolve it, actually.
yes, yeah. And the thing is, it couldn't be resolved because I was doing the stupid way. Oh, not the stupid way, but I did propose a change, and Dennis did really took the time to write me, and basically that's the thing I was doing. And then in the at XAF section was the
Mhm.
thing I was thinking that is in the template,
Mhm.
and I was thinking, okay, if I put the application inside the DI container, they would resolve it. But they
Mhm.
don't resolve it for a reason. you can read on the on the blog post, because or the support ticket, because they try to more modularize all the dependencies, because
Hmm.
XAF application is like a big monolith object, and they try to spread it out more, so
Hmm.
not everything has to depend on that one object anymore.
Yeah,
So it's more modular and more flexible.
actually, lately, actually, remember that we meet like 2 times to where you show Senial and so on, so on, so on. And I was thinking that in general, um, I guess they do that for compatibility, but the design pattern that they use for the application, for the traditional SAF application, is not that modern anymore. You can use a lot of
No,
other stuff like dependency injection, builder patterns, and so on. That is like more. I mean, I
it
was
is
not
like,
into that, but I'm now into that after like I would say that since last year that started growing on me, like the new design patterns, because
yes,
it looks more
the
fluent, it's easier to
main
read, and so on, so on, so on. So what I
the
would
main
like for me in general is that they do
the
modern approach
the
to.
the main problem I have with like the monolithic approach that XAF had in the past is like, okay, now we have to support multiple databases. There's one data layer that connects to this, there's one data layer that connects to that. We have and not only data layers, there's a lot of stuff going on. And if you say that application is like 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's one base module that's application one. That's like security and cross-cutting concerns. But you have
Mhm,
like every single module is a single module that can live in an application itself. So it's very hard to horizontal or vertical slicing, if you will, with the
mhm,
old approach.
mhm,
And the thing is, I am always on the tip of the toe, if you will. So, but this implementation is not the source code we got delivered so far. So that isn't something that is 21.3. I
mhm,
think that's an earlier or newer build. But the main that's the only problem I had was like, okay, I had to write my own extension method that uh, copies over some of the logics that are inside this kind of method, because
mhm,
it isn't compatible with the way I instantiated
mhm.
and did stuff. But it was the only line of code I had trouble with.
And
And
you were
then
able
it
to
just,
move everything else basically that was agnostic to this.
yes. And then I had a working and running application. It's not complete, of course.
Mhm,
But everything else, for example, if I say I have a new client, uh, my layouts, my everything else is working, and I didn't have to do anything.
that's good.
Nothing changed. I have my business objects. I have everything, and everything Xenial did so far. So I have my Gallium builders.
Mhm,
Those are new. You didn't see those the last episode because I didn't finish them so far. But for example, the layout builders are working exactly the same.
mhm.
I didn't change anything. It is just the way it is. So I didn't have to reinvent all of my logic, my layouts, all the stuff. Of course, not everything is working as expected. Of course, I have no own property editor for mobile phone or for a website
Hey,
or
Manuel, sorry to interrupt you. We have a
yeah.
question on the chat that someone is asking, what is Senial?
What is Daniel?
Give them a quick introduction of what is Senial.
A quick introduction on Xenial. Xenial is not so opinionated framework based on XAF to write uh, real world, small to large scale business applications with a focus on on distributed computing in general. So you have always the time where you say, okay, I have this background task I need to perform once a week, or I have to do some kind of import I need to do from this company every hour or something like this, and put this all my knowledge I have in application building with XAF the last 10 years into one single framework. You can purchase soon. That's
Good.
When you say soon,
that's the
there was another question that Jason Kosinski, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is asking when Signal is going to be in beta version for others to play with.
yeah. The current state is I am finishing a lot of APIs right now, and I need to do a lockdown and uh, postpone a lot of stuff I was going to plan to release. It was on my time plan. It was like just right now there should be the beta bits out, but because of COVID and all the stuff, I need to postpone it at least a month. So stay tuned. At least in mid of June, there should be a public beta.
It will be second week of June because basically that's the next meetup. So if
Yeah.
you have it for that time, it would be great to have
The
it.
only thing is that the next meetup I'm going to do in holiday. So I am one week in holiday, so we have to do a shorter session the next
Mhm.
time. But after my holiday, I try to launch all the stuff I have, and then collect feedback, and it will be free for now. So any
Nice.
question on
Awesome. No,
Samuel?
I'm just looking forward to the release so we can actually start playing with it.
The thing is, there are a lot of the main thing about Xenial is it is code centric. So there aren't any designers yet or stuff like that. I write all my layouts in code. I do almost everything in code because code doesn't lie. Right?
Not like the hips,
Yeah,
like the
it
songs.
compiles. If it compiles, it works.
Good.
But that's the thing I have to share for Blazor right now. The thing is, the other demo I prepared is on the other computer, and it's way too crazy to
Clinical
put
maybe.
that over. So we
Uh,
have to postpone that for the next time.
Great. I was going to ask you something, Manuel. It's like, what are your thoughts on scalability now that it's time to talk about something like that? I mean, we did already the introduction because we got a lot of questions in our office, like which type of server do I need to use for your SAF application? Does it need a special type of server? How should
Yeah,
I configure my IIS? So,
yeah,
what
yeah.
are your thoughts on scalability for Blazor?
For Blazor, the thing is I'm not 100% sure right now how it will scale horizontally. Um, there are two things that I guess are really exciting and cool about Blazor in general, and the architecture they chose about client state. Thing is, Microsoft claims like if you do server-side Blazor, that's the thing that we are talking about right now. So if I stop my application, the the my browser dies. No, oh, it did die.
It's a different window.
Yeah,
A different window, I think.
no, it isn't. It closed the browser window.
Manuel, let me ask you something. Is it
Yeah,
me or
the
is your face in the icon of the browser?
no, it really closed. If I when I closed the application, it closed the browser. It's
Okay.
not a lot deal. The thing is, Blazor server side is like everything, all different calculations about DOM diffing and all the stuff happens on the server. Nothing happens on the client, or almost nothing happens on the client. But that comes at a cost. So every client that connects needs to have all the tree diffing
Hmm.
and the whole DOM tree, or not the whole DOM, but the difference or the component model tree on the server. And you talk about like 5 to 10 megs of RAM for a client.
Mm-hmm.
It could be lower, it could be higher, but for a complex application, you have to say, okay, there's like 5 megabytes of RAM per session or per connected user.
But you know that's what I like, that somehow they are saying that since the beginning is that you need this amount of RAM for each customer, for each client that you will connect. And that's quite neat because in other technologies, you just, I mean, do it by testing in production how much you need. So in this case, it's easy to somehow foretell, somehow say like,
yes,
okay, I think that this is the minimum requirement for memory and for
CPU. That's a minimum requirement I see for per user if you use server-side Blazor.
Mm-hmm.
But the neat thing about combining XAF with Blazor is like you don't have this huge bag of session state you needed for web forms. It's like a small tree of differences and like only the user data. So the memory footprint is a lot smaller per user for XAF Blazor. And you have the application model as a whole bunch, as a per process thing. And it's not huge. It depends on the size of your application. But the thing is, you can scale it horizontally really, really well because it's stateless. Basically, it's stateless.
Yeah, actually, the one I like for me, I'm looking forward for two things actually. One is that, I mean, in this case, you can use Linux servers.
Yeah.
So that will reduce the licensing cost for the customer because, you know, I mean, I don't know exactly how it is because I have not done that lately. But as far as I can recall or remember, is that Windows license for server depends on the amount of RAM or CPU that you have.
Yes, it depends on the workload or the server license. Yes,
And in this sense, you can just buy or rent a Unix server, Linux server. Just put everything that you can buy there. I mean, it should not be like that, of course, but in general, there is no licensing cost on the hosting side.
Yes, no additional licensing costs besides database if you have, but the neatest thing, I guess, on the long run, and I say, okay, in 1-2 years, I have XAF team had said, okay, let's decide when .NET 5 is stable about the client side Blazor stuff, because right now we are server side only with XAF. And that's fine. That's fine for, I guess, over 80 to 90% of the applications. If you don't need offline support, you have a stable internet connection, it is like a back office stuff, or it is like mobile with good connectivity, you are fine with Blazor Server. You don't have to scale like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of customers. And that isn't probably something you want to do with XAF in the first place.
Hey, let me interrupt you quickly, Manuel. We have another question in the chat that is exactly what you're talking right now, that he's saying that I have some concern about Blazor SAF as a service, as a software as a service. And taking account the ticket that we know from Dennis that he said that we shouldn't use 1,000 users in SAF, he says maybe using multiple virtual private service. So I'm going to leave it there. You guys can comment on that.
Okay, I can just do a small excerpt on Blazor and on the scalability of XAF in general. It's like Blazor for server side is like you have like this memory footprint you have per user. You have like kind of sticky session because the 3-diff algorithm runs in this on the server side. If you go the next level and go to Blazor WebAssembly, you can host that on Azure on a file share. It doesn't does anything. You can write a Node.js server application and write the front end in Blazor. It's the other way around. It's horrible, but no. But that's the thing. If it's client-side Blazor, it runs totally in the browser. So there are no scalability issues there at any kind. It's like a normal WinForms application. It depends on what
On the
binaries
local resources, right? Not in
it
not in
depends
the
on the
server
binaries
resources.
you drop in the in the
On the
browser.
client.
Yeah, on the client. For XAF, like thousands and thousands and thousands of people connecting to one service, it depends on your architecture. It depends on how is this the same database, how you doing multiple nodes, do you load balancing, security, stuff like that. Out of the box, XAF is not designed to handle hundreds of thousands of users, but I have like deployed applications with at least 1,500 users.
Oh, those are really big.
Not for web forms though. We did some horizontal scaling, but we hit a limit, and
also some problems that we have in El Salvador regarding web forms is that you really need to fine tune your IIS somehow, and that is a skill that is hard to find. I mean, at least in my country, in El Salvador, where I was born, it's like, okay, let's find someone who do the optimization for IIS so we can have like something really neat. And that was hard to find and really expensive. But if you want to learn about load balancing in Nginx, there are hundreds of articles everywhere on how to do all type of load balancing, proxies, and so on. So in that sense, and also there is a lot of people, I mean, really good in that in Linux already. So it's like, you do that for me, I will just put my application to run. So for me, it's like, it will open a new market somehow because you can go to Linux servers in some sense. And also you can include other type of person that you didn't include before because of course web forms will not run in Apache. But it will run in Nginx because it's the Blazor thing. So in that sense, it's like it will change somehow the layout on how we work. And also I think that another change that we will have, at least inside of our office, is that maybe that will become the main flavor for us, not web forms or Windows forms. It will be just Blazor. Because we can do a lot other of black magic to say like, okay, let's do it with Electron and so on. We compile it. So we have all the other tools, and now we can include that we were not able to include before. So in that sense, something will change. Maybe our code base will be more monolithic somehow because we will aim to just one platform instead of, oh, I did this for Windows, I did this for web.
I don't think it's getting more monolithic. I think it's the other way around.
What I mean is like just a single code base where you don't have to think, oh, I need to do this in the web form. Like, And this in the Windows form. So you don't have to split your thing. It's like you just do it once and it just works somehow. So in that sense, it will reduce time.
But from service perspective, at least, if you say, okay, that's my backend code and I need to scale my backend code, that's a thing you can't easily horizontal scale, just throw another instance of XAF web service in there with web forms. There's no way to do this in web forms way, but in Blazor way, because the way that it's communicated, you can throw a Redis cache or something like this in the backend and store the user data.
You can use those type of scenarios that you cannot use it before. So you can include a lot of other stuff.
But it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard.
Lately, I'm using one of the lines that you always say that it's just code. So in general, is that the constraint on time and money what you have, because it's possible. But in this, the constraint is lower because it's easier in some senses. So I'm looking forward actually for that, and to think like just thinking in one platform, like web or Windows, I don't care. I will do in this case actually for me. What is really interesting is that I will go to really check Electron, for example, because for one case why I do web applications in SAF is that everyone in the family office, the family business, they use Mac. So I needed to have a web application for that. And before it was not as responsive as in Windows Forms, but I think like software is good enough actually, and now it will be way better. And
Yeah.
especially if we can provide something like Electron to have like a desktop application, it will be even better somehow. So for me, Mac users is a big target.
No, I'm gonna add about that. The podcast that I recommended before, this guy, Michael Washington, he actually created Blazor app and he tweeted and he has like thousands of followers and he tweeted, let's try to break this thing. And he was impressed of how scalable it was. Like CPU, I think that it was 6% with a few thousand users and memory wasn't that. So it's really promising what is coming. This is just Blazor, not SAF Blazor, but either
Yeah.
way is, and I think that Microsoft has done tests with 20 concurrent users, and before actually the performance
The,
get.
the thing is always if you compare, for example, like the hello world of React or the hello world of Blazor or the hello world of XAF, they are almost different kind of beasts on their own, because XAF is a database or a data-driven framework, if you like so, or it is at least focused on getting data in and out of systems and making applications on the create, update, delete level. But and you can't compare Vue.js. It's like 10 kilobytes of scripts compressed, sent to the browser, and then like do animations and stuff like this. It's not the same thing like with XAF. XAF is on a much larger scale from architecture perspective, but that doesn't mean it's that it's flexible on other balances, because React apps can be snappy, but we just saw database applications don't have to be lame as well, or not fast. They are fast, and the next version is ultra promising. I told Jose and Xavier before we started the stream, I think Blazor is sometimes snappier than the WinForms XAF application when using it in the
I
browser.
think, yeah, I mean, I think that
most of the time.
For it to be complete, we will have to wait for Developer Express to move all the controls, because there is something about the grid in Windows that I think it's impossible to add more features to that. I mean, name it, they have it. So if they manage to move that to Blazor, then Windows Forms will become like a second, I don't know. But of course, it will take time.
From my perspective, they don't need to move everything into the new Blazor stuff, because it is like almost overbloated. Because the way we use applications today is totally different than the first time the grid was introduced. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, you have all the stuff, and we have this grouping, and we have the summaries, and it's all good and everything we love about grids. But I think the way we experience user, the way we do software development and user experience nowadays is completely different to that time.
Yeah, actually, I think that it somehow is the opposite, because you know that a common request that we have in our office is that it's over functional. So they have to make it more simple, because the grid can be overwhelming if you see all the options that they have. So they want to narrow down to a few options or a few actions where they can do stuff. Because it's like, for example, we were talking with you about that, a query builder or some, I think it was a form, dynamic form in SAF, and we just did it because the customer wanted like that, because they could achieve the same using the filter control of the grid, but they thought that it's too complex for the end user. So we need something that looks more primitive somehow, which is funny, because you think you're always trying to go forward, but sometimes you need to go backwards.
Backwards, Yeah, that's always the thing with user experience. You have always this balance between simplicity and functionality, and sometimes that's in most of the cases of look at the new support center. It's much more cleaner. It has less options, and I am more of a power user of the support center, and I really miss some features, but that's another talk. Uh, but that's a thing, and with usability in general. And I think the cleaner design is more approachable to most of the end users, and we can add features for the power users if we need to, without having to strip out everything that uh,
Yeah,
it has to
because
provide. It's more a bottom-up approach than a top-down approach.
yeah, because usually since it's top down, we actually spend more time hiding the stuff
Yes, yeah,
than putting
yeah,
the stuff.
yes,
I mean, everything that we need to put is already there,
yeah.
so we just hide other stuff. So it's funny
Yeah.
that okay, new application, you do it.
What
and
is
then,
this
okay,
button? Oh, I press on that, but it also increases the testing complexity on some apps.
yeah, that's true.
Because I got in the past 10 years a lot of customer calls, and they say, okay, when I press that button, I get that error message because we never tested that. Because
That's just quite somehow common.
there's an export button, and the export button doesn't work. And if the export button is there, they assume it works,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah,
never intended it to be there.
that is also another stuff. Like you're actually talking about one of the pain points is that
Yes.
the more functionality you have, the more support that you need to have, and also they expect somehow of documentation from you. Okay, if you, I mean, you did this export button, right? So they think that you did it for them, and it's like no, it just come with the framework, and you have to explain it. So it increased the support.
And they most of the time don't need it. That's the thing.
Or
If they
most
really,
of the time, appreciate it, and you don't know it. They use that.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. It's like
And
you know that's what you did for me is good.
and that's what one another reason why I promise that Xenial will be beneficial for almost all XAF users, I guess. It's like I have built-in support for application insights, and I know when users use buttons in which list view or in which detail view.
Actually,
There's
that's one of
there's all this knowledge
and that's
about.
really important. You need to do actions, but they have to be validated by by data. But
Yes,
they are
yes,
really using this because a lot of times you do a big feature and nobody uses, and you don't even know. So
yes,
you
yes.
need to put that inside that login, that so you know how your
But
users are using your application.
But on this side, I did the hard plumbing on putting application insights deep into XF, so I know I did all the coding, and now you can use it. So that's all. It's all my memory about and all the effort I really love XF. I love the way there are pain points. Of course, with every technology, there are pain points, but it's all the love and heart I put into there, and so that's a thing with technology in general. You can say, okay, use Vue.js. I like it. It's really I did great project with Vue.js on the client side, and if it get a little bit too big, it's like I can't handle this shit anymore. It's do we have the peeper button?
Hey,
No,
Eric, we have a really informal agenda. No dress code, beer encouraged, coffee encouraged, so don't worry about this.
yeah, this is the safe space.
That's the thing. If a project gets too large, it really gets overwhelming, and you can't handle this stuff anymore. It starts to break apart on all kind of ends, and I never had that experience on XAF. Sometimes I had, but that is like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. So But I was young at this moment.
Okay, guys, is there something else that you want to move
No,
in the
I
visit, or is
think
there
that
something that we're missing?
just to wrap up the meeting, Blazor.net is the place where every new thing gets updated. So please follow that so you can get on to the latest things about that Microsoft is putting. This is a
Trust me,
nice,
it's not that easy.
yeah, I know, but it really has everything new. You just
No,
need to
it's
search
awesome.
around. This is a free book about the same guy, Mark in Washington, where he walks you about doing a help desk application from beginning to end. Free. Feel free to download and play with it. Carl Franklin Blazor Desktop. There are a lot of videos in YouTube about he working through a complete musician band application using JavaScript interrupt, using entity framework, using a lot of nice things. And just because last time we do the announcement first and then we start talking, I thought that this time we'll do Blazor for sure at the beginning and then we just walk quickly through this. Few things that has happened in this is this entity framework core using the SAP security system. Nice
I
graph, and
I
you can read about it.
I
Manuel?
did see that. I didn't understand it so far,
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
but
it's,
it was,
I will investigate
it
it.
was the same for me also. I checked that picture and I saw that I didn't like share it in LinkedIn, and I thought like, yeah,
But maybe we
share it with you.
can maybe we can get Dennis on the show to explain what they try to tell us about this
that would
that
be
that
nice. That
diagram.
would be
That would
nice.
be awesome.
That would be definitely awesome. So if we move forward, this is another article that I really like about Xamarin Linker for XPO. We use XPO with Xamarin a lot, so we have a lot of time that we were just linking to node, and the app size was APK, the API was really big because we were not linking anything. But here they give you like,
75 megabytes.
yeah, and we have actually have bigger application, 130 something
Yeah.
so megabyte. If you put link into none, but here they walk you through what you can put, what assemblies they need to
Not,
skip.
what's it's like 30 megabytes after the shaking.
Yeah, and for like line of business applications, sometimes it's not a big deal. They don't they have a specialist device for that, so they don't care. But
But I'm just seeing the replace X number version with instance for the Explorer. Its APK size 92 kilobyte, 30 megabytes.
yeah, look how
Yeah,
what is the
that's
improvement
yeah,
from
yeah.
74 to 24, 29.
It's more
So
than cut in half. Yes.
this is a really
Awesome.
nice article if you are using XPO with Xamarin. So definitely check it out. Here are more .NET model editor for NetCore. We have been waiting that for a long time, and now we can use it. So again, that's amazing work for the
I
developers.
didn't run in any trouble so far with the new model editor.
Nah,
Uh,
it's
we,
really
we,
One
nice.
one one one
we did the
time
first time. We did the first time, but after that it started working like perfectly.
That's one thing
I
that you
have a
need to.
really complicated setup with multiple project types and versions and stuff like this. And I have just one gotcha on that stuff, and it's really cool and it's fast. It's
Well,
really fast.
now that you're here, Manuel, I don't know if you had time to test the agnostic model editor from Apostolis.
No, I didn't.
Uh,
I didn't.
I tried it out. I couldn't make it work.
we both give it a try and we could not make it work.
I
So
emailed
it was
him.
like a good
So
idea.
I emailed him. I said, oh, maybe next meetup I tell you why he answered. So, but either way, that's one thing that we didn't talk about Blazor. For Blazor, if you want the model editor, you need to have that Netcore installation things on your
Runtime, the
machine.
runtime.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this
Not the
is another
SDK, the runtime.
nice thing from XPO in 20.1 about data schema migration. Right there, if you update your model, whoever uses Designer, I don't use Designer too much, but whoever uses Designer has a quick generate migration skid, but it also have a migration API that you will have actually only the diff of what you changed. That I think that is really cool.
I used
Uh,
that.
and lastly, this is the FAQ of Blazor Server UI. Right here, there are a few things that we just talk about offline mode, about concurrent users, so you can definitely check it out. Uh, that's it. Lastly, I'm going to do a review of every module of SAF. That's just more for a beginner friendly if you want to have a more visual representation of all your models. So feel free to check it out. And I think that that's it for today. What do you guys think? We're almost at the 2 hours mark.
No,
2 hours?
we did it. I mean, we did it. We did everything on time, and we covered the topics. I mean, good for us. It's the first successful meeting.
Wanna
We
say
can
thank you
we
for
can better.
thank you for everybody who show up. I won't be tired to be saying this. There is a really power on community, power on even like steering the wheel of the expressive thing that we want, power on being together and learning together. So thank you for joining up, and see you next time, second Thursday of June.
Okay, guys, thank
Dramatic
you.
zoom out.
Mhm.
See you guys next time.
Next time is Senior, remember. Bye.
Bye.
Next time we probably next time we should do on Daniel.
Absolutely.
We will. Bye.
See you, everybody.